Recently I had a guy mention me on Facebook and he said that I'd helped him get his first deer. I just thought that was awesome. To get your first deer is something special, and to hear that I'd helped him, or my videos had helped him get his first deer, I was just absolutely stoked. So I've decided to make another video, and this video is just to try and help out new hunters like Moogs to get their first deer.
I'm Brent. For me, hunting and fishing is not just about the harvest of an animal. It's about the challenge. It's about the adventure. It's about mateship. It's about getting outdoors where I feel most alive. This is Breno's Outdoors.
There's three types of deer you can expect to find in New South Wales State Forest. It's fallow deer, red deer and sambar deer. The most common deer would have to be the fallow deer. We also have red deer and sambar deer, but not in great numbers. Now, in saying all that, my first deer was a red deer, and Moogs, his first deer was a sambar deer. So you just never know what you're going to run into. I'm assuming that everyone's got their R licence, so you're going to have to log into the New South Wales DPI. We're going to have a look at the species report. We'll go to so this was a couple of months ago, and it's pretty easy. It's going to show you what animals are in these forests. So if we look down and we can see Tugelo. Tugelo is looking pretty good. There's all sorts of things shot in there. So maybe we'll go back to and have a look at Tugelo. So we'll download Tugelo. So here's Tugelo State Forest. I've never been here before, but what you're going to be looking for is you're going to be looking at clearings, like not really the large, not so much the largest clearings, because they seem to just attract hunters more than anything. A big clearing like that, the deer will be too smart to be hanging out in there. What we want to look is for somewhere, just a little small clearing, maybe even up here. So even just these little clearings in amongst the forest, you're more likely to see deer in these little clearings rather than the big clearings. But in saying that, they will feed in these big clearings. Like that's an exclusion zone in there, that's someone's farm, but the deer will be feeding in there at night, and then in the morning they'll move up into the forest for cover. In the morning they're going to be cold, so the first place they're going to go is where the first sun rays come to. So you want to be hitting up these areas because the sun will be coming from this direction, and then the deer will be hanging out on these faces to catch the morning sun. But I'll normally go over these maps with a fine-tooth comb. I'll go over these maps for hours, and I'll have a game plan for different areas, because when you get there you might find that a nice area you've picked is this chock-a-block full of blackberries, or you've picked a camp spot and for whatever reason you just can't camp there. So pick a few camp spots, pick a few areas you think you're going to try. Alright, pick the forest, and we're now going out hunting. Exciting, I know. Let's go! Some of the roads in state forests are terrible. Always be on the lookout. Don't want to end up in something like this. It is, however, inevitable that you will get bogged. When that happens, you'll be glad you got a winch. I won't go into too much detail with the camping gear. One thing you definitely need is a -10 sleeping bag. When you're out there, it's gonna be cold. The deer will be more active in the morning. As hard as it is to do sometimes, you just got to get up early when it's still dark, drink coffee and head out first thing. To find the deer, you're going to have to do a lot of scouting. Make sure you got a good pair of waterproof boots and a pair of gaiters. The gaiters are good for a couple of reasons. They'll stop you getting snake bites, and they'll also protect you from the blackberries, and they're good to have around the campfire too, so your shins don't get too warm around the fire. To be an effective hunter, you really need to hunt slowly and quietly. But there's no point in hunting in the areas where there's no deer. So first off, you've got to scout the area. You've just got to cover the ground, travel heaps of Ks just looking for the sign. What is sign? Well, the most obvious is the droppings. Deer droppings look like black jelly beans with a little dimple in them. Buck droppings look a little different to the does. They're larger and they're more clumped together, especially in the rut when they're dehydrated. Prints. Deer have very pointed hooves, whereas pigs have more separated hooves. Rub trees, the deer will rub their antlers on little saplings. Never really thick trees, they're only ever about an inch thick, and they'll rub their antlers on them to remove the velvet off. Scrapes are where they rub their antlers on the ground and they push all the leaves and all the grass back, and they'll just leave a little bare patch of dirt. It's normally always under a branch on the edge of a clearing. Trail camera is another great way to help you out with your scouting. I buy these off eBay. They only cost about 80 bucks. You can set these up on scrapes or game trails or feeding areas, and it's a great way to get an idea of what animals are in the area. And you get some really interesting footage sometimes.
Okay, you've done your scouting, you've found the sign, you've even seen a nice couple animals on your trail cams. Now it's time to slow things down. Walk slowly. Be as quiet as you can. When you think you're walking slowly, walk half that speed. Get yourself a pair of binoculars and just take a few steps. Stop, look, scan the area. Another few steps. Stop, look, scan. Get your binos out. Look over all the area. Move as slowly as you can. Be as stealth as possible. Another great way to hunt is to not move at all. Sit and wait is a great way to hunt. Get a scarf to put around your neck and gloves so you don't get eaten alive by mozzies. You will see animals. It's surprising how much things start moving around when you're just sitting there completely still. It does help too if you've got a chair. I take a little
Got the chair on the backpack.
just a little camp chair, and I just strap it on my backpack and I go and find a spot, and then I find it a lot easier to sit there for longer periods of time if you've got a nice comfy spot to sit.
I normally walk and stalk in the morning, and then I'll sit and wait in the afternoons. But whichever way you decide to hunt, make sure you got the wind right. Always make sure the wind's in your face. State forest hunting is definitely not easy. Prepare yourself to fail. Prepare to do multiple trips back and forth to forest, and prepare to do a lot of hunts and not even see anything. The good thing about it being difficult, but is the reward when it finally all comes together for you. After you've worked so hard for something and then it all comes together, trust me, it's worth all the hard work. The last thing I want to talk about is just to enjoy your hunting. Once you've shot a few deer, you realise that shooting a deer is such a small part of what makes hunting enjoyable. It's the four-wheel driving, it's the camping, it's the hanging out with your mates around a campfire. The deer will come, don't worry about that. Sooner or later you'll get that deer. But just enjoy yourself in the meantime. And when that deer does come, trust me, the feeling is undescribable. It's an amazing feeling to get your first deer. Holy shit, look at what I just done. Look at that thing. So I hope this video is going to help out a few new hunters. When you do get that deer, please send me a picture. Good luck, guys.